Hey everyone, this is Nick. Welcome to this week's Sinner's Confession. This one is a little different. I'm reading the To the Reader letter that opens my book, American Traditional. It's the note I wrote at the very beginning, looking back on my own path through graffiti, tattoo shops, addiction, relapse, and that one night Grace showed up in a closed liquor store door. It's personal, it's honest, and it's why I wrote the story the way I did. No extras, no narration tricks, just the words as they appear in the book. If you're up for it, hit play and listen. All links to the full audio, book pre-order soon, and more are in the link tree. Patreon members have early access to the next chapter. It's live over there if you're subscribed. Book releases April 5th on Amazon. Here we go. To the Reader. Those of us who were artists in the late 1990s were told our passions would bring us nothing but strife and struggle. That once we escaped the safe walls of school, the creative paths we wanted to walk would be fraught with rejection and heartbreak. We believed them. We had no reason not to. Then the early 2000s arrived. Tattooing broke its taboo. Reality shows like Miami Ink and Inked gave young visual artists in high school a new trajectory. Finally, we had our own rock stars to idolize, much like our musical counterparts had worshipped for years in garages with cheap guitars and drum sets. I was no different from this crop of young artists who suddenly saw an achievable path laid before them. But like most of my fellow creatives, I was full of self-doubt, scared of rejection, intimidated by those who'd already made it. There's no way I could get an apprenticeship after high school, I told myself. Every artist friend I knew had their sights set on their own booth, leaving their legacy on skin. The path seemed impossible. So I'll admit, I gave up on tattooing before I ever tried. I set my sights on a different path, on another crop of artists breaking different taboos, a path that required no mentors, no gatekeepers. All you needed was a spray can and the cover of darkness. Street art. Graffiti. In the early 2000s, tattooing wasn't the only art form breaking the mold. Artists like Banksy and Shepard Fairey went less noticed by the mainstream, but to those who sought a path with less resistance, and a means of throwing both middle fingers up at the powers that be, it was ideal. After this revelation, I found myself hitching rides from friends who had licenses, having them drop me off at Exit 73 for Market Avenue off I-196 in Grand Rapids. I'd venture through back alleys behind concert venues and small coffee shops. Eventually, I found my favorite spot to tag, a small punk venue called Skeletones. It had pillars and a parking garage where I could easily conceal my artistic ambitions. I kept my head down, bandana wrapped around my face to protect myself from the fumes. If I arrived early enough, I could hear the bands warming up while I worked illegally in the shadows. It was a habit I held on to too long. One night, I was crouched behind a concrete divider directly across from the open bay door to the venue. The band warming up was an Irish punk band called Flatfoot 56. Hypnotized by my work, I didn't hear the footsteps. I felt a large hand on my shoulder, dragging me into the venue. I was caught. This capture led not to imprisonment, but to a job offer. The man who ran the venue gave me the opportunity to resolve my vandalism through labor. That very job led to my apprenticeship as a tattoo artist. I was 15 years old, got paid in concert tickets rather than cash. I'd sell those tickets to coffee shops, salons, and tattoo shops, bundle packages for concerts that didn't have the clout to be carried on Ticketmaster. One of my stops was Laughing Gremlin, one of the most well-known shops in the West Michigan area. I sold concert tickets to my mentor. That was my in. For 3 years, I was put through the ringer, building needles, recreating flash sheets, scrubbing toilets, cleaning puke from woozy clients, learning the grammar. In 2014, Laughing Gremlin packed it in, a property dispute that had unfortunately been lost. My mentor secured a location at the legendary Magnum Tattoo, the oldest shop in Grand Rapids. Magnum Tattoo wasn't your hip new shop that welcomed hipsters and yuppies looking to feel dangerous for an afternoon. Magnum was, in the purest form of the term, authentic. The man who ran Magnum wasn't just a legend, he was notorious. Rumor was he ran with an old biker gang that no longer has presence in Grand Rapids. I learned the most I ever had at Magnum. I learned more about the true face of the tattoo industry in Grand Rapids than I ever did at the trendy Laughing Gremlin. I learned the old grammar, the code, the cost of speaking it. My own life had turned into something I never expected. I'd picked up a drinking habit I became dependent upon. I drank to rid myself of the shakes. I drank to cure the pain of my failing marriage. After rehab, I committed myself to tattooing and rebuilding myself. Magnum Tattoo and my marriage ended in 2018. I had nowhere to go. I ended up living in the apartment above Magnum Tattoo for roughly 2 years after the last day a coil machine echoed its final song in that building. Eventually, I moved to a new shop. My current employer, Screaming Needle. I still tattoo to this day. For 6 years after my last drink, I said the words, "Tattooing saved me." I maintained my sobriety by burying myself in the work. I started a new relationship with an amazing woman because of tattooing. The friends I have, the financial security I have, all tattooing. Or so I thought. One bad night, I found myself in the throes of thirst. A thirst that reemerged because of a horrific argument and things I said to my beloved Nicole that still haunt me to this day. I found myself on the southeast side of Grand Rapids, near where Magnum Tattoo used to stand. I said the one prayer I'd said in years. God, let the liquor store be closed when I get there. For the first time in years, I left my fate, my relapse, in God's hands. That night, I returned to the liquor store where I'd spent countless dollars. That night, I wanted to relapse, to throw away 6 years of sobriety, to throw my middle fingers up at everyone and everything I'd built. That night, at 10 p.m. on a Saturday, that liquor store was closed. Was it God? To this day, I couldn't tell you for sure. I can tell you that I have never once, in all my years of living in a bottle, seen that very store closed. Local Grand Rapids residents would tell you there's no chance a liquor store on South Division would lock its doors at 10 p.m. on a Saturday. I am sober and clean to this day. On my 7th year sobriety anniversary, Nicole, my current wife, got me the one thing I had never expected. She got me the first Bible I owned as an adult. That Bible sits in my work bag now. I carry it with me every day. The same way Sarah's Bible travels with Leo. The same verses underlined. The same questions asked in the margins. I wanted to tell you that short story to lead to this. This novel, American Traditional, is based on the real things I've experienced throughout my 15 years in the industry. It compares the old school to the new and modern. It's a story every single old school tattoo artist wants. A young, trendy, narcissistic artist getting their nose shoved in the pile of shit they created. It's also a story I think every young artist needs to hear. This industry that I love is full of pitfalls. It's full of men who will offer you the world and drop you as soon as you shine too bright. Some shops are full of crabs that have no desire to climb out of the bucket themselves and only seek to bring the one who does back down. At its core, American Traditional is a prodigal son story, a story many artists I know have experienced, some because they strive to be that next rock star. Drugs and parties come easy in this industry. What doesn't come easy is fulfillment. Many artists fall in love with the idea of the cult of personality, but not with the idea that we're serving something bigger than ourselves. We create permanent memories. We leave a legacy on people every day. We take a small 15-minute experience and create a lifelong mark. It's beautiful, in a biblical sense. It's part of the reason the oldest mummified human bodies we've found have tattoos on them. My mentor used to say, "We're the oldest profession, not hookers." Tattooing to me is more sacred than any ritual. I have cried with parents who have lost children, sons who lost fathers, wives who lost husbands. Part of my job is to help make sure their memory is preserved. To me, that is sacred. Tattooing has allowed us to leave legacies with the people we've impacted in our short lives. Rich or poor, that option is available to everyone. This book is about the old grammar and the new, about what it costs to learn the craft, about what it costs to lose everything, about what grace looks like when consequence has had its say. It's about beginning again. I hope you find something true in these pages, something that speaks to whatever grammar you're trying to learn, whatever cost you're counting, whatever beginning you're seeking. Thank you for reading. Nick.